Hey there. Okay, I'm back again, and this time I'm doing another quick tutorial on fancy knot work. And this particular knot, this is the French Carrick knot. This is what it looks like when it's doubled up and all the slack is taken out of it. So this is an ornamental, basically a decorative knot. It's not actually meant to be a functional knot in any way because, I mean, you pull on it really tight and it does start distorting it a bit. So anyway, let's get going on this one. So what I've done here is I've gone ahead and laid out the basic framework for the French Carrick knot, and what you can see that it's basically interlocking figure eights. And what a normal Carrick knot is, it's a way to actually join the ends of two cords, usually long pieces of rope. And it's done in a way to where you're creating a figure eight and interlocking the ropes that way. Whereas this one is a decorative version because instead of interlocking two ropes, it's a single strand of rope. And once we finish, it's going to be doubled up to give you this decorative look to it. What I've done here is I've drawn out the basic format for the knot itself, and I will actually try to include a photo of this on my YouTube page so you can actually print it off and follow along on your own to practice this particular knot. And what I'm going to do to help keep track of where we're at, I'm actually going to put pins in all these corners where things intersect at to help keep our cord that I'm going to be lacing through here straight and tidy so we don't get off track from where it needs to go to follow the arrows. So I have the arrow going around following all the figure eight bends to where then it comes out over here. So we come in at this end, we go out at that end. So there, I've got pins in at every one of the little intersections. Alright, so what we're going to do is I've got a piece of cord that's roughly 2.5 feet long, and we're going to start following our arrows. So what we're doing first is following the arrows around, and the challenging part is going to be when we come to intersections. Now here's our first intersection, and I've actually put the end of my cord through a tapestry needle to help guide me through this little quagmire. Okay, so what we're going to do is here we see that we go under because we've got solid lines coming down this direction. The broken arrow indicates that we're going to be going under this cord right here. So let's follow along, taking our cord under, and yeah, it's a challenge with all the pins on the board. But the point of the pins is to help keep things sorted out in a way to where you can follow it easier, as opposed to having my cords shift around on me excessively and you're losing track of where I'm going. Alright, so I'm continuing to follow the arrow, and again here we've got solid lines going this direction, so the arrow is broken, so it's going to go under. So like a Turk's head knot, this is all about the overs and the unders and keeping track of where you're at in your knot. And again, we're continuing to follow around, and again this is a point where we're going to go under again. Alright, so now we're going under again, and we're coming out here, and I'll try to do my best to keep things down where it's supposed to be. And now we're continuing to follow our pattern around. We're going to go follow our little green arrow, and now we're going to go under again. Alright, and something that might be helpful is as I go, I'm just going to move the pin into the cord. That way it's going to hold it in place so it doesn't jump out of position for us as we're going along. Alright, so here we're continuing to follow our arrow, and we're going under here and over there and under this spot. And as you can tell by this point, we are nearly done. So here Again, we have an over situation, and then an under, and then an over. And here we're going over, and now we're going to go under. And we've completed our knot. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to pull out all these pins because they're just in the way, causing extra noise that we don't need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the first one that I had done because I have a longer cord on it, because I'm going to double up now. Okay, so now we're going to do the doubling up. And basically what we're doing is we're just following our cord back through. And what I'm going to be doing at this end is I want to leave this loop, because that's important to do. And to make sure I don't accidentally pull that through, I'm just going to pin it to my board. So what I'm doing here is I'm just following the cord all the way back through the knot and being careful to not lose any of its shape. And I'm keeping to the left side of my initial cord, well, my initial tracing through. So this is similar to the Turk's head knot in that there's a lot of overs and unders, and making sure that you're keeping your second round through your piece, keeping your cords stable, and following your lead cord to where you're keeping to the same side and same orientation all the way through. And that is what I'm doing here. And I'm keeping track and making sure things flatten out. And then once we get this part done, we're going to work on getting the slack out. And getting out the slack is what's going to help us tighten up our knot and bring it in on itself. And actually, so we have to take out the slack to be able to finish our second round on the knot. So what we want to do is we want to, and we can actually do both cords at a time, and you're just easing out the excess cord within the knot, and we're just pulling it through as we go. So see here we've pulled out enough slacks where we can continue tracing our knot through with our double cord, and now we can pull that out. So as we continue to take out the slack, we will continue to make this end longer for getting it the rest of the way through the knot. So I'm going to go ahead and work on getting the rest of the slack out. So you can see that we've taken out enough of the slack to where we've got our cord all the way through. So now what we're going to do is continue to take out that slack. This part of our cord is going to be stable. So I'm going to just go ahead and pin it back to the board. Then I'm going to pin both sides of the loop. So what I want to do is I want to pull out my slack to where I push this up as close as possible to that end, and so I'm going to continue to pull out slack. And this is the only tedious part to ornamental and decorative knot work, is that you do it big and then you make it small. And the reason you do that is because when you're going through with multiple cords, you don't always know 100% of the time how it's going to lay, how your cord is going to lay in your piece while you're working it. And so that's why you say pulling the slack out for the end. Alright, I'm going to pull these pins out because now I'm going to pull the slack going the other direction, because I have this end, the knot's pretty tight there, and what I want to do is work my slack out the opposite direction. And it's just a matter of keeping an eye on where your cords are at within the knot and how you're pulling out the slack, because that's what's going to tighten your knot up. Okay, there we go. That's our French Carrick knot. And in terms of pulling out more slack, I could actually pull out more slack. There is a little bit more in here because you can see that there is still some looseness between the bends in the knot. So how much slack you pull out or leave in depends on how you're going to be using this. Usually when you're going to be using this knot, it's going to be attached to a flat surface of some sort. You could even use it as applique. It could actually be the foundation for a brooch, to where you actually have it attached to a solid surface and add colored cord flanking on the sides of your primary cord. So, and this could be in any color that you desire to do it in. So lots of different color combinations and decorative features that you could add to this, and that would look really nice. So let me know what you think. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll be back with another fancy knot. Thank you.